Happy New Year, ladies and gentlemen. It's great to be with you on this first Monday of January, the year of our Lord Jesus Christ 2026. Hope you all had a great weekend of celebration and gathering with the saints. But it's good to be back with you here as we continue our study of Matthew. By the way, did any of you take me up on my suggestion to ask somebody what they're celebrating as they ring in the new year? Did people know? Do unbelievers know what it's all about? If you weren't with us on, excuse me, that was Wednesday, I believe, New Year's Eve, I just made the point that of all of the holidays, Christmas, Easter, Good Friday, New Year's is no less a Christian holiday than the rest of them. So, hope you take advantage of that sometime. All right, excuse me. Sorry, I've got took a drink and went down the wrong pipe right before we went live here. So I'm going to try not to choke on all y'all. All right, so we're in Matthew 21. And last week we finished up looking at the section where Jesus tells some of his disciples to go into the village, and there they would find a donkey with her colt and say the Lord needs these and bring them to him. And in verse 6 we pick up with, and the disciples having gone and having done as Jesus commanded, they went and got the colt. They brought the donkey and the colt and put on them their garments and set him on them. So the disciples here take off their cloak, put it on the donkey or on the colt, and put Jesus on the colt. So they're honoring him by doing that. And then look how the masses respond. And the very great multitude spread their own garments in the way, that is, on the road, in the path, and others were cutting branches from the trees and were strewing them in the way. So they're lining the streets with their own cloaks, and with branches of trees. In John's gospel, we are told they are palm trees, palm branches. And the multitudes who were going before and who were following, so Jesus is on this colt and surrounded front and back with masses of people going down this path, sort of the red carpet treatment, only it's personal garments and palm branches. The multitudes are going before and following and crying out, saying, Hosanna to the Son of David. Blessed is he who is coming in the name of the Lord. Hosanna in the highest. So as he enters Jerusalem here, the Jews announce that their king has come. Now, we know what happens from here, but just let that settle in your thinking. They had seen enough. These multitudes who had followed Jesus around, some of them probably much of the last year or two, certainly many of them from recent events up North Galilee and Judea, northern Judea, that kind of thing. And through his giving sight to the blind and hearing to the deaf and raising those who are paralyzed and giving them the ability to walk and indeed dance, and with just a command of his voice, sending demonic spiritual beings to flee those they had oppressed and afflicted, feeding thousands and thousands of people with just a couple of loaves and fish. They'd seen enough. What more evidence did they need? This is the promised one, the King who is coming. This is the son of David. And remember, we've looked at that, Isaiah chapter 9. The son or the child that is born, the son that is given, he will sit on the throne of his father David. So he's a son of David. That's a messianic title much of the time. If you look at the parallels, by the way, this is one of those passages that are in all four of the Gospels. In Mark, it says, they're crying out, Hosanna, blessed is he who is coming in the name of the Lord. Blessed is the coming kingdom. So they are persuaded that Jesus is the king, and therefore the kingdom has come. Luke's version, blessed is the king coming in the name of the Lord. Peace in heaven. Similar to what the host of army angels said at Jesus' birth to the shepherds. All right, so they are self-consciously, the masses of Jews here are self-consciously acknowledging and announcing, declaring, in fact, that this one riding on the colt is the Messiah, King. The kingdom is here. And they're very excited. And they're treating him like a king. The image of throwing down garments before a king is taken right out of the Old Testament, and also during the Maccabean period, if you know your Jewish history. And then they cry out this Hosanna, blessed is he who is coming in the name of the Lord, Hosanna in the highest. That is from what's called the Hallel, which is Psalm 113 through 118. This is a series of psalms declaring God's mercy to the people in the Exodus. I think, in fact, it's called the Egyptian Hallel sometimes. So to acknowledge how God rescued Israel from slavery in Egypt, and how he parted the Red Sea, and how he kept them alive, sustained them. And there's even a little bit about the hope of resurrection after death, and in deliverance from the enemies and conquering the enemies. And so this Hallel, Psalm 113 through 118, was sung at the various festivals like Passover, which is what's going on here. So I want to look at Psalm 118, and I want you to think about it from a couple perspectives. One is seeing how this is the acknowledgement by Israel of the Lord's goodness, but it's and his mercy and deliverance and all of that. But it's also written largely in the first person. And so the Messiah, represented by the author, which is probably David, would be writing this in first person. So think of it both as what the Israelites believed was going to be true of Messiah, and what it means about Jesus himself. Does that make sense? All right, so acknowledge the Lord. And I'm reading here, by the way, from the Septuagint, the Masoretic text, which is behind most of our English translations, is similar. Acknowledge the Lord. Why? Because he is good. Because his mercy is forever. Or some of the translation, his love endures forever. By the way, in our home gathering, our home fellowship, our home church, I've shared with you in the church series that I did, and probably some other contexts as well, that we spend some time each Sunday just sharing how the Lord has blessed us in the last week or two. And those are big things, healings, jobs, financial blessing when there was a great need, and other kinds of things. So just, lots of sharing those blessings, but also what we would consider smaller blessings. But every good and perfect gift comes from our Father, where we want to acknowledge him as the provider of every good thing. And as each person shares their blessings, They finish by saying, "Praise the Lord," and the rest of us respond with, "His love endures forever." It's taken right here, right out of Psalm 118. We acknowledge the Lord because He is good, and that's what the blessed person says, and the rest of us reply, His love endures forever. His mercy is forever. I think that's good for us to do as a people. Anyway, that's what the Jews did here as they recited Psalm 118. Do let Israel's house say that he is good, because his mercy is forever. Do let Aaron's house say that he is good, because his mercy is forever. So let Israel say it. Let the priests say it, Aaron's house. Do let all those who fear the Lord say that he is good, because his mercy is forever. In affliction, I called on the Lord, and he hearkened me into spaciousness. So I said I want you to look at this from two perspectives. For the Israelites, think about the Jews even of Jesus' day. They are under the control of the Roman Empire. And apart from a very short period under the Maccabean revolt, they have been enslaved and ruled over since the 6th century, since Nebuchadnezzar in Babylon. So they are oppressed, they are afflicted, they are not a free people. So when they realize the Messiah has come, they say Jesus is that Messiah, he's going to deliver them from their captivity, just like God did when he brought them out of Egypt. So again, you've got that in your mind, but also think about Jesus. Hope that's making sense. In affliction, I called on the Lord, and he hearkened me into spaciousness. He led me into wide spaces. The Lord is a helper to me. I will not fear what a person may do to me. The Lord is a helper to me, and I shall observe my enemies. Observe there is more than just seeing, but watching over them, because I've conquered them. It is better to trust in the Lord than to trust in a person. It is better to hope in the Lord than to hope in rulers. Now that's interesting, in my opinion. Here the Lord would be God, Yahweh, and it's better to hope in the Lord than the rulers, if it means the rulers of the Jewish people, which I would think it does mean that, because I don't know why the psalmist would be writing about trusting in, the Assyrian leaders, the Persian leaders, or the Roman leaders, right? So think about the setting, the context of Matthew and Jesus. The rulers are the oppressors and the hypocrites and the deceivers leading the Jews astray. They are the shepherds who are fleecing the flock and eating the flock rather than protecting them and leading them, and so on. Remember back to the beginning of our study of Matthew. The two major themes that flow throughout the whole letter, the whole writing, are the Jewish leaders, Pharisees, chief priests, scribes, their wickedness, and how God is going to judge them and destroy them. That's the one theme, is the wicked leadership, so far mostly embodied by the Pharisees, but includes the priests and scribes. And then the second major theme is that the kingdom is at hand. The kingdom is here. Well, we see both of those come together in Matthew 21 that we'll look at next few days. Here we have the king is here. He's riding on a colt, and everyone's crying out, "Hosanna, Hosanna, the son of David." And then, as we'll see, the priests and scribes are furious at this and tell Jesus to tell them to be quiet. So you've got the wickedness of the leaders and the kingdom coming here in Matthew 21. And so just interesting to me that in this psalm to think the psalmist is writing, it's better to hope in the Lord than to hope in rulers. And that is ever so true for the Jews of Jesus' day. All nations surrounded me, and in the name of the Lord I fended them off. So if this is David writing, then we certainly understand what prompted him to write this. On many occasions, he was surrounded by enemies. And in the name of the Lord, that's a key from what the crowds are crying out for Jesus, right? Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. David came in the name of the Lord, and he defeated his enemies. Jesus coming in the name of the Lord, and he will defeat his enemies as well. And so Israel can hope that their enemies will be defended or fended off. In surrounding, they surrounded me. And in the name of the Lord, I fended them off. Again, David did that. Israel will do that because the Messiah will do that. They surrounded me like bees a honeycomb, and they blaze like a fire among thorns. And in the name of the Lord, I fended them off. So coming in the name of the Lord here means to trust Yahweh to deliver from the enemies, as again God did for David and will do for the Messiah. Pushed hard, I turned to fall, and the Lord supported me. My strength and my celebration is the Lord, and he became deliverance for me. So again, you can understand as the masses are convinced that Jesus is the Messiah, they're excited. They are ready to party because Messiah means deliverance from the enemy. So we'll throw off the Romans and we will experience all of the blessings that God has promised us. There is a voice of rejoicing and deliverance in the righteous tents. The Lord's right hand produced power, and the Lord's right hand exalted me. The Lord's right hand produced power. So the Lord's right hand is his position of might, his strength. So the Lord's right hand exalted David and the son of David and produced power. All right, Messiah is here. Just like David, Messiah is here. We are going to conquer our enemies. I shall not die, but I shall live and recount the deeds of the Lord. What do you notice about, I took it away, that statement? I shall not die, but I shall live and recount the deeds of the Lord. So based on what I'm trying to get you to see here, what might be significant about that verse? I shall not die, but I shall live and recount the deeds of the Lord. And the next verse, in disciplining, the Lord disciplined me, and to death he did not surrender me. Do you see how that might play into the rest of the story of Jesus? Anyone? Anybody tracking with me? I realize I'm playing Socrates again, trying to get you to answer give me a certain answer that I want that may or may not be obvious. And if you don't get it, that's on me more than on you. Anyone thinking about it? If this is David saying, the Lord did not allow me to die, he did discipline me. He gave my enemies, and they did persecute me. They did send me into hiding. They brought suffering and affliction to me for a while, but then they weren't allowed to kill me. He didn't surrender me to death, and I overcame them and conquered. Amy and Daniel say resurrection. I don't think, well, that's not what I'm getting at. I can see why you go there, and that's good. What I'm thinking through here is, according to the Psalm, the one who comes in the name of the Lord is not killed by his enemies. So Jesus comes into Jerusalem. He's the son of David. Of course, the expectation would be no one is going to be able to kill him until he has conquered the enemies. And then Jesus is killed. Maybe he wasn't the Messiah. Remember the disciples on the road to Emmaus in Luke 24? They are saddened. We thought, remember Jesus shows up and they don't recognize him? He says, why are you sad? And they say, well, we thought this Jesus of Nazareth was the Messiah, but they killed him. I think the implication of that is Messiah doesn't die. No, he conquers. You see what I'm getting at? So that may play into why they had such a hard time and flip-flopped from believing in him to not believing in him. Open to me gates of righteousness. When I enter in them, I will acknowledge the Lord. This is the gate of the Lord. Righteous ones shall enter in it. I will acknowledge you because you hearkened to me and became deliverance for me. So I will acknowledge the Lord. I'm a stone. I inserted the I'm a, but that's how this works here. A stone which the builders rejected. This one became the chief cornerstone. Now, again, it shows how fickle these crowds are, and they just did not understand the story. Even this very psalm that they are singing and shouting as a declaration that Jesus is the Messiah, they didn't read and study and acknowledge all that the psalm said. Because the psalm says, this one who's coming will be rejected by the builders. He already said it's better to trust in the Lord than in the rulers, so they should have been wary of the Pharisees and priests and scribes, and they should have expected the leaders to reject him, which they did, which should have been further proof for the people that this is the Messiah. But as we know how the story goes, the builders rejected him, and through a mob mentality and causing chaos and so on, turned this group against him eventually. Anyway, so right here, stone which the builders rejected, this one became the chief cornerstone. This was from the Lord, and it is marvelous in our eyes. All of it according to plan. This is the day the Lord made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. The Messiah has come. The builders are going to reject him. Then he will become the chief cornerstone. This is from the Lord. It's marvelous. The Lord made this day. Rejoice and be glad in it. Ah, Lord, do save. Ah, Lord, do give success. This phrase right here, ah, Lord, do save, that is Hosanna. That's the Aramaic word Hosanna in Hebrew. So in Matthew, when they say, Hosanna to the Son of David, Hosanna in the highest, they are saying, ah, Lord, do save. And the Greek translates it just like that. So deliver us, rescue us from the enemies. You're the Messiah, we believe. Blessed is the one who comes in the name of the Lord. Again, how many times has the psalmist already said, I came in the name of the Lord and fended off my enemies. I came in the name of the Lord and I fended off those who were against me. The one who comes in the name of the Lord, he's going to fend off the enemies and lead Israel into their deliverance. Ah, Lord, save us. Do save us. Hosanna, you will save us when the one who comes in the name of the Lord arrives. We bless you from the house of the Lord. The Lord is God, and he showed us light, arrange a feast with the thick ones up to the horns of the altar. That's an interesting phrase. I won't take time now to get into it. But anyway, my God you are, and I will acknowledge you. My God you are, I will exalt you. I will acknowledge you because you hearkened to me and became deliverance for me. Acknowledge the Lord because he is good, because his mercy is forever. Okay, so they would have sung this every Passover, all the major festivals, this Halal, they would have sung this, but now they're singing it because they believe Jesus is that Messiah. He's going to deliver them. He's going to save them from the Romans, save them from all who oppress them, and they're going to rule the earth. So remember this group of people, this crowd, they're not from Jerusalem. Jesus hasn't spent a lot of time in Jerusalem at this point. So as he enters here into Jerusalem, all the city was moved, saying, who is this? You guys are making bold claims here that this man on a colt is the Messiah, the son of David. Who even is this? And the multitudes reply, this is Jesus, the prophet, who is from Nazareth of Galilee. What do you think they mean by this is Jesus, the prophet? What's the prophet getting at? Anyone? Daniel says, ooh, the nations killed him. Yeah, exactly. Amy says they were just excited about the idea of a conquering king, just like the people who lifted up Saul, ignoring Samuel. Yeah, very good. The prophet is the one that Moses wrote about in Deuteronomy 18. The Lord your God will raise up for you a prophet like me from among your brothers. You shall hear him. So they are declaring the Halal, the Psalm 118. They're calling him the son of David, Isaiah 9, for example. And now they're acknowledging he is the prophet that Matthew wrote about. Now, again, I just put myself in the position of these Jews in Jerusalem who, of course, had heard of him, and he'd done some things in Jerusalem. But they need to see a little more to be convinced. But it's a bold claim. And I imagine some were excited, maybe persuaded by some of what they had heard. Thought, could this be? Could this be? And others skeptical. And then, as we will see, of course, the leaders come in and try to poison the well, try to do everything they can to paint him as a blasphemer, so they can charge him and have him executed. All right, so that's what's going on here. It's pretty straightforward, but I think it's worth just really understanding what their expectations were, even as they're convinced that Jesus is Messiah, to make sure our minds are clear on why they rejected him. Because he didn't do it the way they thought he would do it. So, Daniel says, you mean Moses and not Matthew wrote about it, correct? Did I say Matthew? Yeah, if I did, then yes, I misspoke. Moses is the one who said the prophet, he'll bring a prophet like me. And these people are saying that Jesus is that prophet. All right, we're going to leave it there for today, and we will pick up with the next section tomorrow. Grace and peace to you.